Nothing in your life is going to be perfect all the time. That doesn't mean that you have to walk around with a negative attitude. Maintain a positive attitude.
I kind of look at setbacks in a different way, not from a negative point anymore, because when things don't go right, that gives me an opportunity to look at what I'm doing and re-examine it, see where I messed up, and redo it.
Welcome to Mended Men's Conversation, life lessons and legacies, where real men have real conversations. In every episode, we dive deep into the struggles, victories, and lessons that shape us as men. From mental health and fatherhood to faith, identity, and purpose, we are breaking the silence and starting the conversations that matter. Between us is over 12 years of professional experience and more than 140 years of combined life experience as fathers, sons, brothers, husbands, friends, and educators. We know that healing starts with an honest dialogue. So let's get real. Let's get ready. Let's grow together. This is Mended Men's Conversation.
Welcome to another adventure. Working with Anthony is an adventure. Welcome to another adventure of Mended Men Conversations. My name is Titus Garnett.
My name is Anthony Washington, and I'm here with this old guy, Mended Men.
And we're having a good time here today. Today, we're going to discuss our topic, and our topic today is building resilience, strategies to bounce back from setbacks. Now, first, let's get some clarification here. This is not a therapy group. We're not here to offer therapy. What we're here to offer is life experience, what we've been through. We're not trying to tell you what to or to not to do. We're telling you, we're just having a conversation about the experience that we've had in our life from the things that we do, that we come across. Building resilience, strategies to bounce back from setbacks. First of all, let's realize that everybody will have setbacks, all right?
It's all part of life.
Nothing in your life is going to be perfect all the time. That doesn't mean that you have to walk around with a negative attitude. Maintain a positive attitude, because it's easier to stand up, to lift yourself up, than it is to just walk around on your knees all the time, on your head hanging down. Yeah, but we're going to try to find a way, hopefully, give you some ideas of situations that could help bring you back. What were you about to say, Ed?
I would say it's easier to lay down versus get up and do what you need to do. Get out of that negative feeling that you're in. Do you disagree?
No, I agree, because you're closer to the ground than you are the sky. All right. So it's easy to fall down and to give up. And you sleep laying down, so you try to figure, well, if I crash out, then. But one of the things about when you're down like that, sleeping is not easy. You don't have. It's
No, it's
not
not.
that easy. It's not
No, it's
easy
not.
to get that rest that you
It's
like and
not
that
even
you
sleeping.
want.
You're just
No, it's
closing your
not.
eyes.
When you sleep, your body heals, and it cannot heal
Relax.
when you're under stress. Okay, so relax and relax your mind. What do you do? Now, I know at times, we've discussed a lot of things since I've been knowing you, and I think that was since last Saturday.
You know, I'm
And
gonna put a chalkboard up behind me, and I'm gonna say every cheap shot I'm gonna keep track of them.
well, you know what? I'm gonna have to hire me an accountant, because I know all the ones coming from you. I'm gonna need an extra computer for that. But I know there's some things you've been in your life. We've been through some experiences that we have talked about in the past. But how do setbacks affect you? And before we talk about building resilience to it, how did it affect you, and what kind of effect did it have on your environment around you?
Setbacks for me was like it affected me mentally. So my environment was already deteriorated, and I couldn't, as you said, I just didn't want to get up. I just laying close to the ground. But I realized that, just living, you got a choice. You can either die or you can get up. Mentally, it tears me down. So I get up. I do things to uplift myself. First of all, I start to, I'd say I pray a lot, a whole lot, and the first person I ask for help is my God, and the first person I got to learn to forgive is me. But I kind of look at setbacks in a different way, not from a negative point anymore, because when things don't go right, that gives me an opportunity to look at what I'm doing and re-examine it, see where I messed up, and redo it. So for me, it's a mindset, how I think. I look as an opportunity to re-examine what I'm doing, re-examine me.
Now, I'm gonna interrupt you real quick.
Go
All
ahead.
right. It's really nice. I hope everybody out there sees that we still go through our lives no matter what's going on when we're doing the show and everything. But everybody wants you to see that he is a good father. He's a good father because he let his kid play with his airplane. That's not his kid's airplane. That's the dad's airplane. So
Knew it was coming. I knew it
so
was
you
coming.
can see how good a father he is. Well, I tell you, now I know what to get you for Christmas. You want a little bus to go with it too? A little airport and all that kind of stuff. Wait, no, but you're right about the reactions that you take when setbacks come about. And when you got setbacks, sometimes the small setbacks, if you don't handle them well, the small setbacks feel greater than they should be.
Yes. Those are the ones that do the most damage. The small setbacks. I will allow those small setbacks to rent space in my head longer than the big ones.
In your environment, a lot of times you got other people.
Yes.
Okay.
The affected people around me.
The people around you. And even though you may not feel like you're showing that frustration, you're not talking or telling that frustration with your mouth or verbally, but you are showing it physically, the way you carry yourself. People can see something is wrong with you. Sometimes you're silent. You don't want to say anything. You don't want to talk. You got the TV on and you're not even watching it. You just kind of like staring out
Just
into
there.
space.
Hey,
Yeah, you're
let
just
me
there.
let me
Yeah.
let me ask you a question, Titus, because you made me think about something. When you was growing up, were you taught how to deal with setbacks, or you learned that through your life experience?
Most of the time, we grew up old school. And in other ways, our parents, they went through setbacks and stuff that's tough, and they just had to shut their mouth and they go home and they take it out on each other. All right. With me, it was more like toughen up. All right. Deal with it. And basically tough shit. That's
Yeah.
just how it is. Everything. And then they follow it up with, yeah, well, you're going to have more to come. Just deal with it. And that was the mentality. There was nobody you can go to. And it was more so for boys than it was for girls. Like if you was
Yes.
and if you was a boy, maybe your mama would hug you, said, Dad, let me kiss you in your head. And your daddy would knock your head off and go, whoa, boy, get off of him. You're going to a little punk. Get away from your mama. All right.
It's true.
But the girl, then you be grabbing your girl, there, baby, I'll fight for you. Where that son gun at? Let me go whip his ass, Or you spank the sibling. Don't you mess with your sister, boy, don't you know? And so it can create issues among siblings, And it's not the setback itself, it's your reaction to the setback.
Yeah.
All
And
right?
how you think about handling those things?
Well, first of all,
I'm talking about when
find
you was a
out
kid. When you was a kid.
when I was a kid,
How it affect your thinking.
sometimes you would talk to your siblings. Now, I came from a home that was 9 kids, right? And you couldn't talk to every one of your brothers and sisters because most of the time where your position was in the family, ain't nobody give a damn anyway. They could care less what you were going through because they had their own. So you
Pretty
either
much.
had one sibling or two you can go to and talk about it, all
Right.
right? But there was also possibly a sibling you would go to and talk about it, but you learn how not to talk to them because they put your business in the street, all right?
What
Or
you
they
was
go tell
going
your
there,
parents.
yeah. What you're thinking is, I'm gonna go to him, for support.
Right. Him or her.
There was no support. Yeah.
And there was no support there, even though they listened. All they were doing it was holding on to it to throw it back in your face, all right, or throw it in the public to you around the friends, or go back and tell the parents.
True enough.
So I learned to be very careful who I talk to. Even your best friend. We're gonna get into this a little later about who we hang around with when we talk about the strategies we use to build resistance. All right. But sometimes even your best friend, you like this girl, right? Then all of a sudden he throw your business in the street. Yeah, he like her. He like her. it's just, and then that frustrates you, and you're like, man, I can't trust him. And when you're young, you're not truly sure what the hell trust is or what trust means.
I
Okay.
think, but you learn quick if you
Well, you
pay
sure
attention.
do. You sure do. In other words, when I was younger, we didn't use the word trust. We used the word count on. I can't count on him. I can't
Yeah.
count on her. All right. Well, I can count on him and I can count on her. So the word trust did not have a meaning that you can depend on all the time. What about you, bro?
You know, you know that old saying, they say people come into your life for a season or a reason.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That comes into play when we talk about trust.
Yeah.
Because you get a
Right.
chance, you get an opportunity to actually see what this person is about. If they
Mm-hmm.
mean well, or they just an enemy in disguise,
Mm-hmm.
So, you learn from that. I had a friend, I was in high school, and I mean, I was green, I'm gonna admit it. And I liked this girl. For some reason, she kept putting me off, and eventually I had a friend, I seen her talking to her. And so he came to me one day and he told me, he said, hey man, listen, me and you good friends, but I just wanted to let you know that your woman is about ready to let me hit that.
Uh-huh.
Man, it broke my heart. But
I know. I know.
but what really stood out to me is the fact that he told me.
Yeah.
What can I say? I mean, what can I say? Tell him, okay, well, hey, if she gonna give it to you, I guess you gotta do what you gotta do. I mean, it just tell me I wasn't the one. But I respect that. And that's what we're talking about.
Let's go back to that situation you just talked about. Did you respect that now, but then were you pissed off at him because he had the opportunity to hit it?
Not really. No, 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 no. Let me take it back. In a way, yes.
And because he told you about it, that kind of hit you too.
It made me feel uneasy, but the fact of it is that he told me. I had a lot of respect for him for that.
Okay, okay,
Now,
okay,
now
okay.
I'm not gonna say it didn't hurt. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
my feelings was crushed.
Right.
But the fact that he came and told me, I can respect that because, it wasn't done behind my back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know he did what he had to do, but, the fact that he came and told me meant something to me, that I can respect him.
Right. Right.
I
Right.
don't like the
Right.
situation, but I can respect it.
And there's certain ways as you go through this in life, from my experience being in the middle of the family, I got to look at the older and I got to look at the younger. And I got to see how they reacted or responded to situations happening in their life and what they did. All right. Sometimes you can see the difference between how a single child versus a household versus a household full of kids. And so my best friend at the time, he was an only child. And so my siblings was basically his siblings. All right. So his mother father liked the idea that he and I were good friends because he had people he can be around and talk to, and rather than just be
Be
his
by
own,
himself.
be by himself. And they knew they were spoiling him when he would get this and that. And sometimes she'd buy him a gift, she'd buy me one. The parents would. But they liked the idea that wherever I went, he went, I went. He at least didn't grow up alone. So there were some things that he understood, but that doesn't mean he didn't have his issues on his own too, being a single person in his family. I'm sorry, a single child. But as you grow, hopefully you mature in regards to how do you handle those problems of growing up.
Yeah.
Preteen, teen, that's happened to me more.
Mid-20s.
A lot of setbacks happen probably up to more so in your 20s, sometimes your
Yeah.
30s. It depends. But how do you handle it when you're legal? Many times after 21, basically, you pretty much on your own after 21.
Yeah.
Are you prepared for setbacks when you're older versus when you're younger? And I find sometimes you can look at a person, like if you're on a job and you see how they react when things don't go their way or something happens.
Will show their immaturity.
Right.
and you wear it on your, one of the things I learned coming up is that, I don't look at it as a negative. We just grew up where you couldn't be, well, I ain't gonna say you couldn't be. You didn't want to show weakness, put it like that,
True.
because people in the neighborhood, friends, just anybody, they seem to just gravitate to that and just tear you apart. So you had to develop some kind of toughness. So when people say
Yeah.
they didn't see no mild meat person, you have to learn that you got two sides. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Sometimes you got to be tough, but sometimes you also got to have feel. You got to recognize your feelings.
Right. You have to have not just empathy or sympathy or whatever. You have to have an understanding of not just your situation, but others
Other
too.
people's situation.
Yeah. Because as you mature and you don't understand it when you're young, but you got somebody's back. A lot of times when people say, I got your back, it's more than just, I'm not going to tell on you, but I got your back to understand you.
And I'm gonna be
At
honest with
time,
you.
honest with you, I can protect you in certain instances.
And
I'm
when
there
you
for
screw up,
you.
I'm gonna tell you
Right.
you screwing up.
I'm gonna tell you screw up. In other words, people use that terminology friend and don't truly understand it. Best friend you should trust without doubt. But
Yeah,
a friend could just be somebody that's a good acquaintance. But there's certain
and
things you won't tell them.
and that's the difference. I'm not gonna label them as a friend. I'm gonna label them as acquaintance. Because
Right. But you didn't learn that till you was older, though. When you was growing up, did you? Wait, hold on. Let me argue with you for a minute, old man.
okay, go
Look,
ahead. You got the chance.
how many times when you was growing up as a teenager, you say, "Oh, that's my acquaintance." When
No,
you
I
got
would say
older,
no. I would say that's somebody I know. Because
okay,
listen, let me explain one thing. Coming up, I learned at an early age the difference between a friend and an acquaintance. You
okay,
know, and a friend is somebody that I respected, had my back.
okay, uh-huh,
They down for me,
mm-hmm,
had no problem. And when I screwed up, had no problem of telling me that, like the situation I told you about, my friend told me about the girlfriend, that's somebody I can respect because
mm-hmm,
you're honest with me. And I can deal with you. When you're
mm-hmm,
dishonest, you in the acquaintance category. Fair exchange ain't no robbery. That got to go both ways. Got to go both
mm-hmm,
ways. So I learned at an early age the difference between a friend and acquaintance. So I had a lot of people that I knew, but they were not in the friend category. I knew one thing: my friends, I can count them on one hand.
mm-hmm,
I knew a
mm-hmm.
lot of people, but I didn't consider them always a friend. I
Yeah,
mean, I hung
yeah,
out with them, we did some things, but when rubber meet the road, adios. You go your way, I go my way. That's the way it was. So I
yeah,
learned
yeah.
that at an early age. I say no, when I say early age, I'm gonna say like
I understand what you mean.
implemented in my
You
20s.
Right,
20s.
right. That's and the age you are now. That's the early age.
Let me get this Negro another boy. Yeah,
But
you snuck that one in on me. I'm gonna get that one
oh,
to you.
brother, you better stop leaving that door open.
Okay.
No,
You're
God, no.
right. I left it open. What
I'm
can I
waiting for,
say?
I'm
I
waiting for
did
my
that.
turn. I know a shot's coming. I know you taking notes. But people, we're going to go into how we build resilience, and the idea of when you're building resilience to a setback, we're not going to quantify setbacks as in the textbook as A, B, C, all that kind of crap. We're
Nah,
just talking about in your
setback
everyday
is a
life,
setback.
it's a setback. In other words, things didn't go as planned. How do you respond to 'em? Do they still shake you up like they did 5 years ago, 10 years ago? How do you build your
How about
resilience to
now?
that?
Hmm.
Okay, yeah, my resilience now is that to look at a setback and say, okay, what went wrong? First of all, check myself. All right. I got to check myself and say, whoa, wait a minute. Don't let this, don't let this take you where you don't want to go. All right. Sit back, let it wash through. All right. And yeah, you could be more resilient because my experience with setbacks and I'm still striving. I haven't given up. I've learned that setbacks are a part of life. They're part of the reality of life. You can get up in the morning and you making breakfast and you crack an egg or you drop an egg on the floor, and the last thing you want to do is clean up an egg off the kitchen floor, especially when you ain't had your coffee yet,
So
and you still trying to wake
now,
up.
today, would you say setbacks and resilience go hand in hand for you?
My resilience, the way I look at it, my resilience is my response.
Okay.
Okay, that's the way I look at it. And my response is different than what it used to be as I was growing up, okay,
So
versus when
how
I
do you
was
look at
younger.
setbacks now?
I look at them and I go, dang, I got to do a show with Anthony, talk about setbacks, but I get over it. I know I got to do a show with you every week. So I'm
Okay.
resilient.
My point exactly is that,
Mhm.
it's no longer a negative thing in your life.
That's where you're heading to. Yeah, right. Okay, explain your side of that for clarification. My side is I know there will be setbacks. I know
Right.
that these things are coming. Now, people may say, look at setbacks as a large thing. My thing is it's a happening that you didn't plan for. It's
Right.
something that you didn't unexpect or your plan didn't turn out the way you want it to be. You can look at it as a setback. In other words, it's a possibility of something being negative instead of positive. But you look more to it, and you tell me if I'm wrong. I'm hearing that maybe you look more toward you don't want it to turn into a negative thing. I look at it as okay, crap happens. Now, where do we go from here?
So
Instead
what's
of
the
saying
difference
crap
between what you
happened.
think and I think?
Well, you thinking it's a negative. I'm not looking at it as a negative. I'm
No,
looking at it
you
as
ain't been
crap
listening.
happened.
I
That's
didn't.
why I asked you. That's why I'm asking you, man.
I
Okay,
didn't.
you
I didn't
explain
say.
your side of this.
Setback is not. I don't look at a setback as something negative. I look at setback, as an opportunity to reshape something that didn't go right.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, it's not. It's. I want to say. I'm gonna say it is. It's not a negative thing. It
Mm-hmm.
gives me an opportunity to redo what's not working. So I'm not looking at it from a negative point of view. I'm looking at it as I'm gonna just say a positive thing. Because it gives me an opportunity to straighten out something that didn't go right. That I did, it didn't go right. So instead of me saying, "Oh, fuck, man, no, okay, well, didn't work out. Let me see how I can make this work. Or what did I do so it didn't work?" That's my thing. So my mindset has changed how I view a setback. It's not a negative thing. It gives me an opportunity to grow.
Let me ask you this:
Okay.
at what age? And don't lie to me. At what age did you start taking that position?
I'm gonna say a couple years before I retired, and that had to be like in my 50s.
80, 90s, 90, 80, 90?
No, Negro, not no 80s and 90s. I ain't there yet. I got plenty time to get there, so don't rush it. No, but
You
yes,
got me all wrong, bro.
yes, I got you pegged right, bro. In my 50s, and something.
All right.
I'm gonna say this. It's something that I'm gonna say that didn't. I wasn't. I can't say I wasn't aware. I knew about setbacks and resilience and how that to distort my thinking. It's not just knowing it, it's about implementing that mindset. For
Yeah.
me,
Okay.
it's
Okay.
just implementing the
Okay.
mindset. Because like I said earlier, we started talking we started the first conversation, we started talking about the difference between it's easy to fail. To
Yeah.
get up back on your
Right.
feet requires work. That's what I realized that I wasn't implementing in the beginning. So once I knew about this process, I had to implement it and I had to have an experience with it. And for me,
Right.
once I have an experience with it, now I can see how this process works. I ain't gotta like
Mhm.
it, but now I got an idea of how I can make this work better for me without thinking that my world was going to come to an end. The mind shifted and started thinking a different way. And to your point, when I did start thinking a different way, I seen a lot of shit just fall by the wayside. The
Mhm.
stress wasn't there no more. Started looking at things from a different point of view. And I say now the part is it's just sometimes them feelings and emotions might come into play, and I might run with that for a while until I come say, "Oh no, this shit ain't working. I gotta regroup, take a step back." So
But you know, Anthony, and you make a point about the realization really didn't hit you until like you in your 40s, 50s, right in there, okay?
right,
But all the way up to that point, all right, when you got to that point, not only you had the realization, but part of your realization was this you realized your strategies to keep setbacks from affecting you. Did you start to realize, oh, I need to do this or that?
hmm
Or did you look back at yourself and say, gee, I came out of that? I mean, did you start to understanding that you was utilizing strategies that you didn't know you were?
yeah, I I agree with you totally on that. Once I realized that, and I had an opportunity to see what wasn't working, you know, things started to shift it, and like I said, one thing is like the job. I say that because they're at the job, they play a lot of mind games. At the VA, they
Right.
play, and what worked in my favor is that I listen to what people say.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't assume about this is what they supposed to be doing. I listened to what they said. And when I listened, it helped me get further, because I knew how to respond to them,
Right.
and when they decide to go left, I want this remind. I said, well, this is what you said,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but you say this now, then, but right now you're doing this. So what you're presenting to me is confusion, because
Right.
I always thought that what you say and what you do is supposed to go together. So
Right.
I'm not quite sure where you going with this, and I say a lot of people dislike me for that, but I was okay with that. I was okay with that because something, we got along fine. It helped cut through a lot of bullshit, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And
But let me ask you, since
go
you
ahead.
got that role going, did things that you were told when you was younger by adults, like your parents, like your teacher, like your coaches, did they start to come to fruition? Did they start to begin to make sense to you?
Oh yeah, because hey, listen, man, I'll be the first one to tell you I was a hard head.
Oh, I
It
can
was
see
my
that.
way or the highway. And trust me, my ass hit the highway plenty times.
So you
I
grew up
got
with the
plenty scars.
relationship. You grew up with the relationship to asphalt, right?
Shit, I used to think that was my middle name. Shit. Asphalt. Yeah,
Woo,
hell
boy.
yeah. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
But something, it's a good thing because that how I looked at life, it helped me not always beat myself up.
right.
Because like you said, life is gonna be what it is.
Yeah.
You really don't have no control over anything other than what you do and how you
Hmm.
respond. Everything
Right.
else,
One of the strategies that stick with me more now than it did when I was younger or was told to me. Sometimes you pick up strategies when you hear somebody else talk or hear somebody else give advice through something you read or
right.
something you listened to, or you somebody said, well, I heard this saying, and it's saying say blah 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 blah, and you go, oh wow, that makes sense. So you add that to your strategies. And one of the things I found when I got more mature is one of the resilience I had to do to build is who to let in and who to kick out of my life, and which it can be very difficult because it can be very personal. It could be a girlfriend, I hate to say this, a wife,
Yeah,
a
a family.
kid,
Oh,
a family member. You know what I'm saying? And
hey,
sometimes I'm not saying some people you need to kick out, and some people you need to have less access to or with, or they have less access to you.
yeah, that's true. And
Hmm.
something like you said, we get attached. We get. I'm gonna say we. I'm gonna speak for myself. I get attached to people, but then I learned that that it's okay. We're human beings. I need people in my life. And I like to have people in my life.
Of
I like to
course.
be able to communicate and talk with people. It's all part of being human. I can say, I don't want to be by myself. I
Right. No,
like
I
to be able to
understand.
talk to people, do things with people. I don't need nobody.
No, that don't play well. That don't play well. But another resilience I see also is when a setback hits. Now, some of them are light, some of them are heavy, but if
Right.
whatever you do for the heavy ones, you can also do for the light ones, that'll wash it away a little bit easier. But one of the things resilience I had to learn was practice what you preach. So if you can tell other people to do it, how come you can't do it for yourself?
Shouldn't tell people to do anything if you ain't practicing yourself.
Well, yeah, true. And you're right. And so you take a look at yourself when something hits, look at it and say, wait a minute, is this repetitive? Am I doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result? And you know what that's called?
Pure insanity.
Insanity. Okay, so you got to look at yourself and say, am I doing the same crap over and over and over again? And where is it getting me? Why am I still feel like I'm on a merry-go-round, but I'm going nowhere except in circles? And I keep seeing the same picture over and over and over again.
You
So
know,
we got, yeah.
when you say
So,
that, that remind me of, I think it had to be in my 20s or something. I was working, and for some odd reason, my thinking telling me it's okay to come in late. Now, once I got to work, I did my job, but I would come in
mhm,
late. My boss had a conversation with me about, you got to do better. I told him, he said, no. It doesn't, you don't get the opportunity to come in when you're ready. When you come in, yes, I can guarantee you're going to do your job. But
yeah,
if you can't be on time, you're not going to be here long enough to do your job.
yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Which is, you stop lying to yourself.
Right.
Stop making up excuses that is good for you. You didn't hire yourself.
Thank you. I'm trying to justify my bullshit, basically.
That's right. That's right. So in other words, you gotta be honorable to you. A lot of people don't use that word anymore, honorable or honor. They looking at something that's just in the movies about Sir Lancelot or
Yeah.
the good samurai or the good monk, all that kind of crap.
Now
But
that
you
comes
have
into
to
play today.
that comes into play today, but people just don't understand it. In other words, when you're honorable to yourself, that means you will not allow all that bullshit that you tell yourself become a part of your insanity.
When you practice that in your life on a daily basis, you'll see you will experience a lot of individuals resent you. No,
Right,
I don't
right.
think I'm better than you. You think that I'm better than you.
Yeah,
So that really don't sound like a me problem. That sounds like a you problem. But I agree with you on that. Because if I'm honest with myself, that's when I'm gonna give out. Because I only
yeah.
want to give out what I got.
And that's tough. It's easy. Sometimes I've been talking to my sister, we'll be having conversation and I'll say I want to do such and she'll go, well, go ahead and do it, man. I thought you don't did it by now. Or she'll say something. I said, go ahead and do it. Why is it so easy to give advice to a person that you see something in them, but you don't see it in yourself?
Interesting.
Wait a minute, you're good. I was telling somebody the other day, and they said, "Oh, I'm having a tough time," and I said, "Whoa, wait a minute. That's not you. You don't let things whip your ass. Okay, you find a way to get around it. Remember when you did this, when you had to do that, and how you reorganized it and got it done? Go on now, just no, don't let you hold your own self down. You know you can handle that. Take care of business. But then again, we got to learn to say that to ourselves too and believe it. Now, we can believe it for somebody else. We got to believe it for ourselves. And once we start believing for ourselves, it'll help us to be more resilient to the setbacks we have because
That's
we
true.
help them with their setback. We got to help ourselves too to our
Everything,
own.
that old saying, it starts at home.
True.
So just like you said, it starts with me.
From within. And you got to follow through with it, man. You got to follow through. And the idea of it is when you do all that, you are actually not thinking about the setback. You are not thinking about the failure. You're not thinking how that negative, that positive end up in your mind was a negative when it's not. All right. It's another way. There's really very little, if any, opportunities that have only one road to it. There's many different roads to a destination. Sometimes it's a longer road, sometimes it's a shorter, sometimes you got to take a detour, sometimes you got to get off, slow it down, So, but just because you got to stop for gas every now and then doesn't mean that you ain't going to get there.
It's the journey.
It's the journey. It's the journey. All right. And then if you learn to enjoy the journey, then every trip you take to a destination, it'd be easier to enjoy instead of making it stress. Do you drive a lot?
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
Out here, you gotta drive.
Yeah, well, same here. But I used to drive, not used to, I still drive back and forth to Chicago. I'm talking about a 700-mile trip. When I lived in Chicago, yeah, and people say, oh, man, it's only 600, it's only 500. Well, my odometer says when I leave home, I put that thing at 0. When I get to where I need to be in Chicago, it's 700 plus miles. All right. I don't look at 700 miles. I cut things down into successes. First, I got to get out of the state. When I get out of the state, boom, okay, I'm on my way. And what time of day? I look at the scenery around me. When I break it down into successes, when I get there, I'm going, okay, I'm here. I don't know, oh, man, I got another 500 miles to go. Oh, man. Hell, and don't do your life like that either. Don't do your job like that. All right. Every day is a success. The first day on your job, when you've been on your job 3 years and you look back at that first day, you can hardly remember that. But that first day on the job, you're like, man, I don't think I can make it. This is crazy. But you learn. You keep going.
I used to work in like Forensic City. First day there, a friend of mine, his brother, I guess it was his uncle, any relative, was taking me around the wards and showing me. Next thing I know, this guy named Bearcat, he just jumped on me. When he started, that instant jumped in there, and I fought that nigga tooth and nail. I was a lot smaller, but we fought. But he couldn't get me in no headlock, and they finally came to that. I went blow for blow with it. But ever since then, I got my respect from him. Working in there helped me out a lot because the guys in there, I realized they ain't got nothing but time on their hands to sit around here and think about shit to do. This is their day. This is their life because they got nothing but time on their hands. And so I learned that, in order to you had to earn your respect.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I did. I didn't disrespect people in there. I treated them like human beings. That was the only time I got into a fight up here where inmate had jumped on me. Other than that, I ain't never had no problem out of it. But I learned that working there, the mentality people have. They used to lock up so long, what they would do, they would stop up their toilet for days. And once they stop it up, they would flood the room out and then take feces and smear it all over their body.
What?
And then as you walk by to go feed the person next to them, they throwing feces at you. So now you got to go in there, unplug the toilet, and strain them to the bed. I'm a killer, man. Throw my plan out.
I've been there. I worked into this sort of hospital it was like a center that they would take homeless people off the street and everything. People get sick and they go there and they try to take care of them, this and that or whatever. You go on break and you come back from break. I worked a night shift and the attending nurses say, yeah, what's his name? He just crapped all on himself and this and that. And so so I make him go in the shower. I said, come on, let's go in the shower. And I make him wash himself off in the shower. All right, come on, man, you could do it. Encourage him to do it. Yeah. Well, after a while, then they come to me and said, man, you was just on probation. We want you to work full time, all the time, this and that. I said, well, you ain't paying enough for me to do all that for what you were paying me. you know, and we ain't gonna give. And I don't get health care. He said, "Well, we'll give you health care now." I said, "Hell, now you want to
It took
give
all
it
of
to
that to
me?"
get it.
It took all that to get it. I said, "No, thank you." But the thing of it is, the reason why they offered that to me was because I didn't let the job get next to me. All right. I showed resilience when I went there and I said, this is my job. This is what I do. I knew ahead of time what they wanted me to do. But with every job you get in everything you do, like with you taking care of your boy, with you like when you start a new job or when you driving, things can happen. Crap happens, man.
It do.
Crap happens, and no job is always what they tell you. There's always more to it that you don't know about. You know what I mean? So you got to be resilient against all that. You got to say, okay, this happened. And you can't say, well, you didn't tell me about it. Life don't tell you what's going to happen tomorrow. So you got to deal with that. You got to be able to
You
handle it.
have to pay attention.
True. And expect the unexpected at times too. And no matter how it hurts, you got to get through it, you know.
But-
And don't know the difference. One of the other resilience you have to learn when you're dealing with handling setbacks is when it's your fault, accept it. Know it's your fault. Know it's your
Yeah.
responsibility. Then let it go and move on, you know. And when someone else comes to you, like my son one time came to me, and to make a long story short, I said, okay. I said, now how come you didn't tell me this when I asked you three times previously? He said, Dad, I don't want you to get mad at me or punish me or this, that, or whatever. I said, it's difficult to put my foot up your behind because you already got yours in there. So why don't we, ain't no room for my foot. So now that you told me, let's figure out how we're going to solve this thing. And he
Yeah.
learns how to take the pressure off him.
See, because when you go at it like that, you let a person know up front that, I'm not your enemy. You don't have to fear me.
I've done pretty much for the day on this, and we'll talk about it, see if we want to extend it next week into our next conversation. But one of the things I want everybody to understand, this is conversation
That's
that
what it
we're
is.
having. It's this conversation because it's just like if we was in the same room together talking over a beer, all right? Or we're in the bar talking over a beer or this
Don't
or
do that.
that. We having this conversation. A lot of times in your life, you talk to us, your friend, your family, anybody, just having it. And that's just what we're having. We're just having
Yeah, a
conversation.
conversation.
It's
And,
not a therapy session.
look,
We
look,
have
Titus looking at
the
you.
time. Hey, buddy.
Titus looking
Give
at
me a
you.
chance
He
here.
said,
Give me a
what's wrong with
chance
you?
here. Hey,
You looking like
so
that?
you know what? We go through this every Friday
Yes.
from 10 o'clock in LA time, 1 o'clock Eastern time. So sometimes we may come on a little earlier or less, but if you see the link on one of our advertisers, please call
Join
in
in.
and join us. And we're working on going straight live in the future.
That's
Okay?
right.
Straight
So
live.
if you enjoy the conversation, come on in.
All right, that's
And
Anthony.
we promise we won't make you sit through the conversations like we doing here.
When Anthony's wife holds him, it's usually at the throat. But anyway, that's Anthony Washington. I'm Titus Garnett. This is Mended Men Sometimes Conversation. We're out. Take care.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Mended Men's Conversation. If something we shared resonates with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode with someone who needs it. Remember, healing is a journey, and you don't have to walk it alone. Stay connected with us, subscribe to the podcast, and join the conversation online. Until next time, keep growing, keep healing, and keep building your legacy.